Hi, my name's Sophie. Last year, my class studied deaf culture. I was really impressed by the culture. Deaf people are different than hearing people in many different ways. They have a different sense of time, different values, different politeness, and even a different way of looking at life. My favorite part of last year's study was visiting all the deaf schools. And my favorite deaf school was the New York City School for the Deaf. I made so many good friends from that school. After we visited them, the deaf kids came and visited us. I had 3 deaf girls sleeping at my house. No voice. This year, 2 other girls and I went to the Austin School for the Deaf with Mr. Berger. It's about an hour away. We went there to present our work in sign. It was really hard, but I learned a lot. This year, I'm taking a night class in sign.
Jerome was born deaf. The cause of deafness is left unknown. His problem takes place in the inner ear. The hair cells are not long enough and very rare. In Jerome's left ear, he can hear no sound in the environment. Even the loudest sounds, he only hears them in a whisper. In his right ear, it is about the same thing. Jerome is profoundly deaf. At home, Jerome uses a hearing aid, but he does not enjoy being on it, so he rarely uses it. A hearing aid does help him some. His parents considered a cochlear implant, but after a lot of thought, decided against it. Writing has never been one of my best subjects, but there are 3 pieces of writing that I'm really proud of that all revolve around the same subject and are part of the same test. And the subject is U.S. history, and we studied this for 9 weeks, and we had 9 questions to prepare for, but we only ended up taking 3. And I passed all 3 of my essays, and I'm really proud of them because they hold a lot of information and detail without just being a list of facts. This experience really taught me how to study better.
Hi, this is Noah. He plays on a basketball team called the Sonics, and here he is.
Okay, the first thing I'd like to share with you is that this is my first year in this school. I moved here from Oregon in the fall last year, and it's been a challenge for me fitting in and making friends, but I did. And also I came into school with some strengths and some weaknesses. Some of my weaknesses were I wasn't that strong in writing, and also in math I was about 2 years behind. But in the first 2 months of school, I worked very hard and I caught up to grade level, and actually I passed it. So, and as you can see, here I got perfect scores on my last 2 tests, and we also did a project where we tried to find long repeating decimals, and I had the longest in the class, 18 digits. And also a mathematician sent the school a problem to work on where we used 4 numbers and we tried to come up with 1 through 100, and that was the one my group worked on, so I contributed to that a lot. And some of the strengths I came in with were I'm very obsessive about detail and I'm very meticulous, as you can see on my blueprints and some of my drawings. And also you probably noticed how big my house is, and it has a lot of areas for kids to play. Well, that's because I have 1 sister and 2 brothers, so I have a big family.
What made you say, okay, 15 drafts is...
Mainly because it was due on that day, but I really felt that it was completed. I was getting a lot of critique that day, and I had made a lot of changes. So,
what is the critique like? What is it? And does it help you, or does it?
Yes, it helps a lot.
Does it hurt your feelings ever?
No.
What's
Mr. B's rule is first say something positive and then say something like a suggestion or something, not too like, oh, this is horrible, something like that. But like, this could be changed, or maybe you might want to do that. So, yes?
You had 5 years in a different school in a totally different state.
This was a difficult project for me because I have a really hard time drawing people and getting the proportions and things right. So I had to work really hard at this, but I was really pleased when it was done. And I did this on the book Dealing with Dragons on the character Princess Cimarron. So now I'm going to read the character description. Take one bored princess. Make her the 7th daughter in a very proper royal family. Have her run away. Add one powerful, fascinating, dangerous dragon. Princess Cimarron is beautiful, but in her own way. Her 6 older sisters have long blonde hair and blue eyes. She has jet black hair and brown eyes. But despite the fact the girls in the kingdom are supposed to be afraid of dragons, Cimarron is much more interested in dragons themselves than how to scream properly if she's carried off. So when she runs away, everyone knows where she'll go. And so it's no surprise when she goes to live with the dragons.
Well, this year we started off our unit of water with a report on the safety and quality of the streams in the town of Shutesbury, and we tested for 8 different components.
We did the stream report in part to prepare us for the well report. For the well report, we tested 63 wells in Shutesbury for inorganic elements and pH.
We gave each family a testing kit, which consisted of 2 sterile bottles, samples A and B, surveys, and an instruction sheet. Sample A is water that has been sitting in your pipes all night, and sample B is water that has been flushed out.
When the samples from homes all over Shutesbury were sent back, we took them to Hampshire College to be tested using the inductively coupled plasma mass spectrometer. When we got the results back, we prepared an individual report for each family.
After the individual reports were finished, our class started to prepare a well report for the town, which made sense. Maya and I had a lot of responsibilities to take, and during our study, including our section, the introduction and methods, the summary of findings, labeling envelopes, writing cover letters, the bear contest along with 2 other classmates, presenting to teachers, scientists, guests, reporters, and others, and much, much more.
We received an award from the state for our project, which is up here. It was the Secretary's Award for Excellence in Environmental Education.
The first thing that I'd like to share is my cave novel, which is called Cavern of Terror, and this was my favorite project this year. And it's about a group of scientists who are down studying frogs and amphibians in Central America. And the book itself is sort of a combination of political thriller and science fiction. And so while they're down there, they get caught up in guerrilla warfare, and that's the political thriller part. And so there's all this stuff with the guerrillas and what they do. And then when they go and hide out in this cave, when they escape, and inside the cave, that's when the science fiction part comes in, because there are these things in the cave, these worm things, and they burrow into your flesh and they control you. And so there's a whole episode down there where they're doing that. And so I'm going to read an excerpt from the story when they meet up with these.
And her name is Camilla Church. She's an architect in the firm, and she lives in a small made-up town called Church's Mill in Virginia. And now I'd like to start with a small excerpt from her home description. Imagine you are driving down a highway, the kind that gets thinner and thinner as you go further and further. You look at your map. If you are navigating correctly, then by some wrong turn, you have ended up in the town of Church's Mill, Virginia. Oh no, you think. This town can't have a population of more than 2. The writing on the map is so small I can barely read it. You figure it can't hurt to go into town and at least make sure nobody can help you. You keep driving and suddenly a town pops up in front of you, as if out of nowhere. You go on a little, and as suddenly as the town appears, the next thing I'd like to show you is my finance portfolio, and I'm sure you've heard of this. And this is, for our character, we've done finances, and we made up their whole life. And this is her checkbook, which we got to make up. And in it, we keep her checks and the balance of her checkbook. Okay, I'd also like to just show you the tax forms that we did for her. I'm sure you've seen these too. We got to fill out tax forms for them. The first one we filled out was a W-2 form, and the second was a 1040 form. And I thought it was interesting because it took a long time to try to figure it out and stuff, but I was happy because I really got involved in it. And at the end of doing the taxes, she got a tax return, so I sort of felt like I'd got a tax return, even though it wasn't a real or anything, but I liked that. So I thought that was fun.
One strength I have is I progress a lot in drafts. This is my first draft right here, and between drafts I progressed a whole lot. I took things out, added things in, and my final draft is just so much more different than my first idea was. There's almost no resemblance at all of progressing between drafts is my original skyscraper design. One thing which makes me proud about this piece is that I used the critique of classmates really well, because when we had a group critique session, everybody thought that it was too busy and everything, so I took their critique, and on my final draft, I really used their critique well, and I made it a lot less busy and everything. So that really makes me proud about that.
I was wondering how you felt or thought about studying Joan of Arc. Was it really...
I thought it was very inspiring because all along her life, she had been told that she was a nobody because she was a commoner or a peasant. And basically people who were a commoner or peasant weren't respected. And she didn't learn to read or write since she was a woman and a commoner. And just along the way, God told her that, God told her that she should go and save France. And everyone was like, no, God talks to the Pope. And then he tells it to the cardinals, and the cardinals tell it to the bishops tell it to the priests, I think. And she said, no, God talked directly to me. And so many people didn't believe her. They thought she was from hell, and they didn't think that what she was saying was true. And so they tried to discourage her, but she stayed strong because of her strong beliefs. And she did save France, though a lot of people try not to say it. And when she was killed, people who had been there at her burning thought they had killed a saint. And 200 years after she died, she was named a saint. So she is now a saint, but I think her cause was good because she opened up a lot of people's eyes.
I'm going to show a segment from the video from the play that we did.
Did you sing?
Yeah, I think this is... I'm going to show you a clip of a disco video. I took a disco class by Mr. Berger, and we practiced at recess times, and we did a performance for the whole school in the gym, and this is just a little clip of it with me and my partner, Molly, who I danced with.